This is my Rockwell AIM 65 that I built back in the early 80s, and it's sort of a wooden cabinet that has a little release mechanism here that allows me to fold out the keyboard. And I'm just going to remove the lid so you can see what's inside here. Alright, so inside we have the display, which is a 20 character alphanumeric LED display. We have an alphanumeric printer, which is 20 columns wide, 20 characters wide. The AIM 65 motherboard, which has assembler ROMs, a monitor ROM, and basic language ROMs. In here I have a cassette tape recorder for recording programs. It has sort of an audio output that puts modulated audio onto the tape recorder to record programs, and they can be played back in to load programs. And that's what I'm going to be replacing with the Curiosity Nano system that has the ability to actually act as a teletype. This has a teletype interface as well, which allows me to avoid using a tape recorder. I could use the Curiosity Nano to record audio because it has an audio clickboard, but I think it's simpler just to have it record the keystrokes, the characters from the teletype, because it can use a teletype instead of this keyboard. In the back here we have a massive linear power supply which has plus 5 volts, plus and minus 5 volts, plus and minus 12 volts, plus and minus 15 volts, and it has 24 volts at 2.5 amps for this printer. So there's some gigantic capacitors back here. Over here I have a backplane with 44 pin connectors to expand the system bus, and there's this is a cable to extend the other connector, which is an I/O connector, and it has all the teletype interface and the audio interface and so on it. But I want to replace this massive power supply with a modern switching power supply, and I'm going to redo the whole case so that it's much smaller. This thing weighs, I don't know, about 30 kilograms, or 50 pounds, something like that. It's very heavy, and I'm going to reduce the weight and the size and put some modern interfaces to save the programs on it. So that's the plan. It's going to have to be done in the near future because the power supplies haven't come in yet. They're on order, and the upcycling project is almost over. It's a couple days away from its deadline. So this will be completed after the project is over, but just to give you a flavor of where this is going, back in the day, this was the very first single board computer that had an alphanumeric display on board, and also the very first one that had a printer on board. And I'm not sure very many of them ever had printers on board. But it has a very, very nice monitor program which allows you to examine all the memory, single step through the memory. It allows you to disassemble the memory so you can see the assembly language mnemonics instead of just hexadecimal numbers. So you can look at the memory and examine what program is there with the disassembler. It also has an assembler in ROM so that you can write your programs in assembly language and assemble them before running them. And of course it has the basic interpreter as well, which allows you to program in a higher level language and conserve memory that way. Anyway, this was my first computer, and it's still running, and I'm pretty partial to it. It actually cost a lot. In today's dollars, this would cost about $6,000, and it has, about 1 kilobyte of RAM. And with all these ROMs, which is what increased the price quite a bit, there's 32 kbytes of ROM altogether there. All right, so I have to get this into a blog. This is the Curiosity Nano system that is currently slated to become the mass storage peripheral for the AIM-65.